And instead of including socialist voices on television to clarify, they actually have segments like this.
I got to go to the Liberal panel. It's got to be tough for you to look at your candidates and see how boring and stiff they are. They're stiffer than you.
Well, they are. Well, thanks a lot. But they did talk about policy, unlike the Republican debates. And it's not socialism. It's capitalism. It's democratic socialism within a capitalist society.
Okay, in short, it's not a capitalist society, because a capitalist society is in relation to do with a free market system. And what you essentially live under today is a corporatist system. It really is as simple as that. And there is a strong difference between corporatism and capitalism. They're not the same thing. Capitalism is not the early stages of corporatism, and I could go into the full argument of where the monopolies stem from, because, like I say, recorded history certainly does not reflect what people try to claim. It's a bit like the time people said that Standard Oil held a monopoly when they never.
Seriously though, there are many different definitions of socialism depending on who you ask. And just because a country has socialist policies doesn't mean it's a socialist country. There are degrees of socialism. So let's just start out with a safe Wikipedia description. Socialism is a range of economic and social systems characterized by social ownership and democratic control of the means of production. That sounds pretty harmless, and yet, of course, that's what a collectively edited, non-profit, free encyclopedia would say, and look how that turned out. Oh, pretty good.
Technically, you are correct in many regards, because it's a mixed economy, and the mixed economy had given rise to the corporatist system, and it's unavoidable. But that was because of the socialist policies within the mixed economy that strangled capitalism half to death. That's essentially why the corporatist system came to existence. The bailouts are socialist, they're not capitalist, because capitalism is about the free market and about giving individuals the freedom to choose what they do with 100% of their own finances. It's not about an income tax. So if you don't have an income tax which is socialist, how can you subsidise? You require some form of taxation. Even in the 19th century, there wasn't exactly this truly 100% capitalist system, because to some degree there were parts of the economy where socialism had intervened, and you saw the protectionist tariffs. Because again, the comparison between capitalism and socialism is socialism is about control of things, whereas capitalism is all about leaving it to the free market. For example, capitalism is about interest rates being set freely in the marketplace. Capitalism is about letting the free market, through the laws of supply and demand, to determine your ratio of what your money is. It's all about leaving it down to the market to determine freely what your money is. Now, when you look at history, for example, nothing's ever black and white, but there are periods that you can look at. For example, under the likes of Alexander Hamilton, he used a socialist price control to determine the ratio. He fixed the ratio through a socialist price fix. And when he did that, it wiped gold out of the market and made silver the dominant standard. And then he tried that socialist price fixing in 1834 again. This time it wiped silver out of the market and made gold the dominant standard that would enter the treasury. Instead of just leaving capitalism be for capitalism to determine freely in the marketplace what the ratio of money is between gold and silver, they didn't. They, tried to use socialism to try and, tamper about with things and try and fix the prices. So this is the issue. Nothing in history, we're not saying, it's, an all-out socialist-based economy. No. And it's not an all-out, capitalist based economy. I apologise. But, this is the thing. I mean, throughout history, it's one of these things that nothing is black and white. So you have to look at the market and look at the parts of the market where it was freer and compare it to the parts of the market where it was controlled. And then you can determine which is better off. For example, which was better off? Was it better off with internal improvements, in other words, corporate subsidies, or was it better off leaving the market be? In other words, no internal improvements. Or Was it better off with the socialist protectionist tariffs, or was it better with free trade? These are things that you need to look at. It's not as simple as just saying, well, it's, things, you can just fit things into a cardboard box and that's it, and that's how it operates. That's not how you look at the economy, and it's not how you look at history. Things are never as black and white as that. And it's just one of these things that if you look at history, socialism everywhere has been an absolute disaster. Everywhere it tried to intervene in the market, it was a failure with its fiat currency. It was a failure with the fixing of the ratio. It was a failure with the fixing of the interest rates. It was you can go through a whole host of things that it's been an absolute disaster on. And people can say, oh, well, that's got nothing at all to do with socialism. But, well, I'm afraid it does, actually, because, capitalism's about the free market. It's not about, trying to control interest rates. It's not about trying to control the ratio. And if you're trying to say that that's not socialism, then what is? So this is the issue. Capitalism's got nothing at all to do with government regulations. It's about the market regulating itself.